The Randumb Show. Inside knowledge of TV, pop culture, and game shows. With your host, executive producer of Let's Make a Deal and The Price is Right, Mike Richards. Joined by the shortest moral compass on podcasts, Beth Triffin. And now, The Randumb Show.
I'm Mike Richards, along with the moral compass of the show, the tiniest voice of reason you've ever seen in your life, Beth Triffin. How are you today, Beth?
Oh, I'm so good, thank you. How are you?
I am great, mainly because we have maybe our best show ever.
The best one?
The best ever. Of course, Jen Bisgrove did point out to me earlier that I say that every time.
You're just confident.
I'm confident and I'm optimistic about today's show, but we really have an enormous amount of ground to cover. Sometimes I'm wondering how we're going to cover it.
Oh, we'll do it. I'm confident.
Okay, you're looking at the board. You're turning around. So we're going to start off talking about my trip to Disneyland for my 3-year-old's birthday. The happiest place on earth? Question mark. Then we're going to talk to Alex Davis, the editor and head writer of Buzzer Blog, which is like the biggest, I believe, well, I'm just going to say it is, the biggest game show clearinghouse website commenter on the internet. We're going to talk about the new Who Wants to Be a Millionaire host and Splash, the new ABC celebrity diving show.
Crazy. People loved that.
Yeah, which we didn't actually see.
No.
To prep. But we hear that it was awesome and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is indeed tall.
Yes.
So then we have 3 different winners from Price is Right and Let's Make a Deal lined up.
All tonight?
All tonight to talk to them about. These are people that have already been on the show and they have their prizes. So we have someone who won a car. We have someone who won a trip to Bora Bora and just got back.
Oh.
Yeah. So because I'm always fascinated, what are those trips like? What's that experience like when someone backs up your brand new car to your actual house? So we're going to start with Disneyland. So I took my 3-year-old son, Carson, for his birthday. All he wanted to do was to go to Disneyland. And I had not been there in a long time. And in fact, I hadn't been there in a long time when I wasn't working because I shot a bunch of shows there. So that was the only reason I was there. I was there for free and I was working, and so I was getting paid.
That was probably a lot better.
Yeah. So I hadn't been there so I have a 3-year-old and I have a 5.5-year-old. They loved it. They thought it was fantastic, which is great. And as a parent, you will grin and bear just about anything, even Disneyland. But what I was just so blown away by was how many adults were there without kids.
Yes. I have friends that literally go there once a month.
Those should not be your friends, Beth. Do a cleanse.
They are
It's time for a friend cleanse.
They're acquaintances. They're
friend
people
cleanse.
I know. Their whole names.
Is that how you determine whether someone's your... I know your whole name. You are now my friend.
That's an acquaintance.
If someone goes to Disneyland on a regular basis, not my friend. Voted off the island. And the island is small. I mean, let's be honest. I keep the friend island rather small.
He actually doesn't have any friends.
Well, I don't have time. Right. I don't have time for Disneyland.
Oh, no.
Or
time
people
for
who
friends.
like it. But I couldn't get over A, how expensive it was.
So expensive.
B, what a rough group that place attracts.
Oh, yeah.
That is
like, you don't want to take your kids there.
No. Well, I was sure that they were going to be sick for the next day because of all the germs. I mean, I'm a germ. My kid kissed Mickey on the nose, and I almost threw up. I was like, that is got to be the most filthy thing on the planet. There has to be nothing worse than the tip of his nose.
What weirdo's in that costume?
You know, I think it's an up-and-coming actor. I think you could relate to that.
Oh.
You know who was Tigger?
Who?
Wayne Brady.
Oh, no,
Wayne
really?
Brady was Tigger in the parade.
I do admit that once when I was a little kid, I was a bear. I was a bear for this
Some
fair
people say you're a bear
in
every day.
Ohio. Yeah.
Wait, you like in a fair?
Yeah.
Were you a bear fair? A fair bear?
Yeah. And it was just this one-time thing. I got called to do it because I was the only one short enough to fit in the bear costume.
So it was a midget costume.
I actually cried in the bear costume.
Good.
It was scarring.
Yeah. And so now you won't do work as
a character at Disneyland now.
No. How much would they have to pay you to do it, though? Because you have your price, because it's been duly noted that you have eaten chicken and you're a vegetarian for an audition for a commercial, not once, but twice.
I feel like I'd need several $100s. I have a low price, everyone.
So for $300, you would dress up as Mickey Mouse and let kids...
What about $500? I'd do it for $500.
$500 a day? 8 hours?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. So I wanted to make this a fair and balanced. I want to be the Fox News of podcasts. Fair and balanced, Beth.
Oh,
that's their slogan.
Horrid.
So we have on the phone Chris.
I want to be the NPR.
Oh, no. I want people to listen.
Okay, go on.
So, Chris, are you there?
Yes.
So we work with Chris, and Chris is the opposite side. Because I had a feeling, I didn't know until we literally sat down, that Beth feels the same way about Disneyland that I do, which is the correct way, by the way. Congratulations. That's the correct answer. But I wanted it to be fair and balanced because Chris just gave up his season pass to Disneyland. So you are a frequenter of Disneyland.
I am a frequenter because, it's season pass is like $25 a month, and after 3 visits, you've made up for the price of a season pass, which is awesome.
God, they're basically paying you to go stand in their lines and not actually do anything fun. That's a good deal. That makes sense. Yeah.
I mean, that's if you want to, stand in line. If you don't know the ins and outs of Disneyland and you're, a sheep.
Yeah, or you're an adult.
What kind of food? Is the food good at all there?
Oh, okay. If you haven't had a Disneyland churro, you haven't lived.
Oh,
and that's
I just haven't lived. I've been around the world. I've traveled everywhere. I've stayed in some of the nicest places. And God damn it, I haven't had a churro. But I'll tell you who's had churros. Everyone else at Disneyland. That is a land of giants. The poor hover-rounds at that place have the shock absorption system of a monster truck. Big people there, Chris. Is that why you go? So here's my theory on why adults go, and then you tell me why you go. But my theory is that an adult goes to Disneyland to feel better about themselves compared to all of the other people that are at Disneyland. They look at them and they go, well, at least I don't look like that, and this is not my broke-ass vacation because I'm going here all the time. Because that's how I felt.
I would say that's close. There are definitely a lot of tragic tourists that make me feel better about my life and my physical appearance.
No more tragic than a guy who is upwardly mobile who frequents it. But go ahead.
I would say that there are pluses. There's it reminds you of your childhood. There's the Peter Pan ride. There's Star Tours. Which brings me back to when I was seeing the re-release.
She's taken the Peter Pan ride, if you know what I'm saying.
It's the best ride ever. It's so magical.
Beth dated the guy who was the lead in the road show of the Peter Pan play that you were in, right?
I did.
You toured all over so she literally took the Peter Pan ride. I'm sorry.
Oh,
it was the first thing you went with. I miss
that's
him
magical.
so much. He was. You know what was great about him? He made Beth look tall.
Oh, you have to be little to play Peter Pan.
Peter, is that really you? Are you really 5'1"?
That's a quote of me.
I'm sorry, Chris. Okay, so you get to go and you get to relive your youth.
Yes, but I will say this. The cool thing is that Disneyland is kind of the opposite of Vegas, where it used to be for adults only, and now it's more family.
Oh, sorry.
But now Disneyland is it's all about adults. There's downtown Disney where there's bars, restaurants with actual food besides churros.
Uh-huh.
And that's a plus.
But break it down because you don't go down for the food because you live in Los Angeles.
Yes.
And you're an adult. How old are you?
I'm 28.
So you're 28. So you're an actual adult. And there are plenty of great restaurants. And actually there's a great place just up the street that makes delicious churros. And I'll give you the name and the number when we're done here. So you don't go for the food. You go because there's something about waiting in line and doing that. What is it?
Well, I have to reveal a secret here, and this is sort of something, it's insider information I wouldn't, normally tell everybody about.
But I'm so creeped out.
There is a way to bypass the lines, and that's by, forgetting about dignity and integrity and just saying you have a broken knee and going to Disneyland guest services and saying, I can't stand in line. I'm going to need a pass. Yeah, and you get your pass.
Do you swear to God that you've done that?
Oh, I do it every time. I'm in and out in 6 hours.
Oh, the moral compass is about to swing at you. Go, Beth, go.
My goodness, you do not. Oh, my gosh. So you try to bypass all the little kids who are, being fair and standing in line?
Oh, I don't try to. I do, and it feels so good because I'm in and out of the ride, and they're only 10 feet ahead of where they were
This
a
is
minute
so
ago.
anti-Disneyland. This is horrible.
Actually, it's everything Disneyland's about because the people at guest relations can't ask you about your injuries. You just tell them that you need a pass. They don't ask any questions. If you stand in line, you're a fool. You're a fool.
You're a tool with morals. Look at did you hear that laugh? Oh, morals. I haven't seen you in so
What's
long.
that? Yeah, I don't even know what that is.
Wow, that seems horrible. But,
So-
so why on earth would you let your pass expire?
Well, times are tough. And, I got to, focus on my budget and my financial goals.
And getting
But I will
fired.
be back.
Deserves a raise.
No. Well, if he said he'd never go to Disneyland again, I'd give him a raise.
I'll think about it.
But honestly, okay, so you go and you beat the system, but I happen to know that even when you have to stand in line in the assisted, I guess, what is it, guest assistance line? I believe it's called.
Yes, there's a
Guest assistance
downside.
line. That even then you still have to wait. You can still wait 15, 20 minutes.
There is a shorter wait. This is true. And I will say the only downside is that sometimes you are in line behind people who have serious special needs, and then you really start to rethink things. But then you get on the ride, and it's great, and then you just move on.
But,
This sounds like a horrible.
But okay, and then I want to move on from Disneyland because we have a lot of ground to cover. But what is it that you like about it when you go on the ride? Like, what ride do you go on? You're like, yes, this was worth $80. Driving to Anaheim, parking in a parking structure in East Pacoima, taking a tram, being surrounded by endless amounts of humanity, going to a place that perpetuates the biggest lie ever called the happiest place on earth. It's like Reno, Nevada being called the biggest little city. All lies.
I have a theory why he might like it.
All right.
Chris, are you from LA? Are you from California or Florida?
I am from California. Yeah.
Oh, never mind. My theory sucked. I thought that maybe you were from like the middle of nowhere in the Midwest or something, and
No.
you were excited to finally like have Disneyland at your fingertips every second of the day.
But there is one ride that I can ride over and over and over, and that is hands down California Screamin', which is the roller coaster in California Adventure.
I just don't.
Best ride ever.
I've only been on one roller coaster and I threw up. I'm not lying. I don't think I could do it.
I just.
That sounds
Okay, so
terrifying.
other than that one, when you go into the main park, what do you do?
I said the first thing we do
Other than
is
cut in line in front of handicapped children.
we go to Space Mountain. That's the first one because those lines are terribly long. And then we typically hit up Thunder Mountain too. I mean, I usually go with a bunch of thrill seekers.
I have a question.
No. The people that go to Disneyland to ride a roller coaster are not thrill seekers. That's called being a doorstop. So, like, if you're a thrill seeker and you're bungee jumping off of Big Thunder Mountain while it's going, I'll buy that. Okay, so you and your crazy friends, one of you puts on a knee brace and says, "I can't stand," and that's how you do it.
Yeah, and we just we can basically tour the park in under 6 hours and do everything we want to do.
They get like their high off of.
I still don't understand what you do for fun there for 6 hours because, again, I was with a 3-year-old and a 5.5-year-old, and I understood, or at least I tried so hard to understand the joy they were feeling. I felt no actual joy.
So what did you guys do when you were there?
We hit 15 rides in 11 hours.
Oh.
We were on a mission. Listen, we're Richards. We're relentless. That's what we're learning today. And I could not get them to go home. My little 3-year-old was like, nope, I want to go to Dumbo. Nope, I want to go to the rock. He had it all ready to go.
If you had to pick the best part of it, if you were forced to, what was the best part?
Leaving. The best part of it. My kid really got a kick out of meeting Mickey Mouse.
That's cute.
And so it was like he was meeting a huge, important. It was like he was meeting Gandhi or Steve Jobs.
Got it.
You know, like it was like, oh, and then Mickey was really nice to him, and they made a big deal about him being there. And then, of course, because he's my kid, he goes, "Where's Donald Duck? He's my favorite. He is so silly." And I was like, awkward. But that was it. Yeah, no, I don't get it because the lines, the money, the inordinate amount of fat, it's just crazy there.
Yeah, it is.
But I can't understand. So you like the roller coasters. I want to wrap this up, but you like the roller coasters.
Absolutely. The faster rides.
Have you been to Magic Mountain, Six Flags Magic Mountain?
yes, I have, and that is a lot more fun. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah, because those are actual roller coasters, not like Disneyified roller coasters.
But there's nothing really that, warm and childhood memory like about Six
Being
Flags.
attacked by gangs, because that's pretty much pretty much what Magic Mountain is now. Remember that time the Bloods beat the hell out of us? That was a great ride. I'll never forget it. Okay, so you like roller coasters. You know what? I want to tell you, I want to give you one quick thing. There's a lot of fun things to do where you are not, having to fake an injury to displace handicapped children.
That's lying.
That's lying and cheating.
Yeah.
So that's one. And would I start with one or A? I'll start A, and then 2. Go do something that's actually thrilling. It will be so much more thrilling for you.
Okay.
Good talk.
That was
I'm glad
so
we.
easy.
Thanks. So I think in conclusion, we all learned that Disneyland sucks.
Do you know, can I say something real quick about the Disney princesses? So as an actor here in LA, sometimes you have friends that try out to be Disney princesses at Disneyland, and they actually have to take a facial shape and symmetry test. And if they don't fit within the parameters of like one of the princess's cartoon faces, they can't be the princess.
I actually support that.
Yep.
I'm okay with that. Which princess would you be? Thanks, Chris.
Thanks.
Oh, I'd be Belle. For sure.
Who's Belle? I don't know who that
Beauty
is.
and the Beast.
Oh, why?
Because she's brunette. That's it.
Because she has.
She has brown hair.
Well, I guess when I wanted to be a superhero, the only one that had blonde. When I was a kid, I had blonde hair, and the only one that had blonde hair was Aquaman. So I was like, I guess I'm Aquaman.
Oh man,
That kind of sucks. I've
That
always
does
got to be in
suck.
the pool. I mean, I related most to Superman.
Oh jeez.
She just threw up a little bit. All right, now let's call our next guest, Alex Davis, the editor and head writer of Buzzer Blog.
This is so cool.
Yeah, so we're just going right through it, Beth. We're just
Oh,
going to keep
yeah.
going. We can't stop, not until we reach the top. And we're calling, and that is the phone ringing.
Hello?
Alex,
Hi.
it's Mike Richards and Beth Triffin. How are you?
Hi.
Oh, I'm great. How are you?
We're having a very fine show so far,
I'm
and
glad
we
to
look
hear it.
forward to you adding to it. I'm not going to lie to you. Quick question: have you ever been to Disneyland?
Yes, I have.
Quick thoughts.
Quick thoughts on it?
Yeah.
I had some 3-year-old try to steal my wallet when I was there last time. That was honestly one of the memories. I'm not even kidding.
That's
One of the
fantastic.
memories that I have of it.
Hey, you got to start
It
them
was
early.
interesting.
Seems like Disney is just like a
it was
breeding
just
ground
weird.
for bad morals.
Yeah.
Well,
That's actually
I
the
don't.
new
They were
slogan.
hanging off me. I'm really tall, and so I figured the kids were hanging off me because they thought it was a tree or something. I mean, they were just hanging on me constantly. People, I had no idea who they were. It was fun beyond like the children trying to steal from me and hanging on me, but beyond that, yeah.
Wow. You actually had a worse Disneyland experience than I did, and I thought mine was pretty rough. Now,
No,
we didn't-
I have stories, yeah.
Yeah. So, and if you're tall, that place blows because you don't you don't fit in the ride as well. Like the ride's kind of made for me, and Beth goes flying out of it because she's beyond small. But yeah, if
Yeah,
you're
and
tall,
I
that has to
giggle
be
at
bad.
things that the ride attendant said inappropriately that could be construed as dirty and really weren't, and then parents did not enjoy that. Even though I said nothing, I just laughed. I blame their dirty minds, but
Got it. I think we've all learned a valuable lesson.
Not worth the money.
Not worth the money.
stay away from me when we're at children's parks, and that's your lesson.
Well, there's nowhere else in the world where you stand in line for that amount of time and get less pleasure. Like you stand in line for 45 minutes to an hour, and you're done in 10 minutes. Jungle Cruise, 15 minutes is the longest one. That was a 2-hour wait to get on the Jungle Cruise. I mean, anything else that you wait in line for, that you're going to enjoy it.
I'm just.
Did you just go to a dark place?
Yeah, I did.
Well,
I'm
where
just
did you go?
Laughing at the idea of you standing in line for pleasure.
Well, like I will wait for an hour for a good table at a good restaurant so that I can eat, and it includes sustenance.
Will you? Because I think you eat some pretty boring things.
Well, I don't really care about food, but if it's going to be, but that is one thing I would wait for.
Okay.
Okay, I don't
Well,
understand
here's the
people that
thing
line
I
up.
found.
I don't understand people
Because-
that line up for movies. That's insane.
No.
No, that's dumb.
It's going to be out the next weekend, and no one's going to be in line. But at least 2 hours of fun or pleasure.
Please stop saying that word.
You wait in line for the iPhone. I think you're kind of a dork, but at least you have a year and a half before it's obsolete.
You get selling out of it.
Yeah. So
here's what I found, because I live on the horribly cold East Coast right now, and about 2 years ago I had to go to Florida to Disney World for some family thing for Thanksgiving, and I found out they did not have this in Disneyland, or else I would have enjoyed myself probably a lot more. Disney World and Epcot, I can't believe they give you this. They have Jaeger shots there, which stunned me.
Really?
I couldn't believe they're giving away Jaeger in the middle of a park for $4.
That's fantastic.
I don't know what Disneyland is. This is horrible.
Well, Disneyland, there's no alcohol, but at California Adventure, you can drink.
Oh.
But then you're just drunk and miserable standing in line, and then you just have to go to the bathroom because you drank, and then you're stuck. But, again, Alex, not why we called you, but it's a jag we got on. What I wanted to do is talk to you about the new host of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. You're an expert in the game world. You write about it, you tweet about it, you live it. Cedric the Entertainer named. What did you think of that?
It's an interesting area. I make no bones that Millionaire was the show that made me want to get into the game show genre, to work in it. It's what made me want to get into it. So I do have this weird territorial aspect with the show to sound horribly nerdy. I'm a big fan of Meredith. When she left, I didn't know what they were going to do. When we heard Cedric, I mean, I don't know how it sounds to other people when they hear it, but instantly the thought is, well, they saw the success of Steve Harvey and Family Feud, and they went for another one of the Kings of Comedy types, which is what every single source has said they were specifically going for.
Well, yeah, any of us that are casting games right now, or looking at games, or looking at hosts, you cannot ignore the success of Family Feud. Going from, and I'm part of the company that owns Family Feud, and going from a show that had one more year of life in it, and so they threw a Hail Mary pass, and they hired Steve Harvey. He needed them, they needed him. His book had come out, and that was it. But that's a very different format than Millionaire, because
and that's what worried me. I don't get to watch the show as much, Millionaire much anymore right now, but especially from what I've seen this year, because like you just said too, I've never heard of anything. I've never talked to anyone who has seen anything like the rise of Family Feud over the past year and just years. Never have I
don't know that
seen anything
I think
like
it's unprecedented in syndication. It's up what's the percentage? 140% or something?
Yeah, it was up. It was at like 1.5 million viewers. I think it's close to 7.5 right now, if not higher than that. And it's beating Wheel of Fortune now in like demographic ratings. It's unheard of.
Yeah. And isn't the app like super popular too?
App, well, when you spin that much success, everything goes crazy. The Facebook game prints money. The app prints money. The repeats. I mean, it's GSN's primetime lineup at this point. It's just repeats of the Steve Harvey Family Feud.
Wow.
Not the Pyramid.
Yeah, I saw their upcoming schedule for April, and from 4 o'clock until 2 in the morning on Mondays and Wednesdays is all Family Feud straight.
Yeah.
But I mean, and the show had a little bit of a tone change when Steve Harvey came on, for the better apparently, where they made it a little bit more innuendo-laden. And it fit to Steve's personality great, it fit to his humor, and it helped the show. I've noticed this season that Millionaire has tried to inject some slightly racier questions in there, where it allows for more innuendo, like Family Feud, which really does not fit a serious quiz show like Millionaire. It looked weird with Meredith. If they're going to keep doing that, maybe getting a comedian is a smart idea. I mean, they're two different shows, completely different formats, completely different tones. I don't know how that will work. But they're very smart producers. I mean, they know what they're doing. I mean,
are you a Michael Davies lover? Because I love Michael Davies. He's the executive producer. He's the guy that sold it and that has produced all of its spawn. So you think he's a good producer?
He's not producing it anymore.
Well, no, but I mean, he still makes money from it.
Oh yeah, no, he's great, and the show's very, very different from where it started right now, and they've literally changed everything except the host by this point, and maybe it's time for a change. I mean, they've been on a free fall for a while.
Yeah, where is it? Is it? It's got to be pretty close to being where Feud was at its bottom. I mean, it's got to have one more year of life in it and try to change something, right?
Yeah, I think right now it's down to 2.5 rating. Right now, the gauge I go by, and it's kind of sad at the same time. There's another syndicated quiz show out there called Let's Ask America. It just started this year. It's only on in 14 markets in the entire country, and it's only losing the Millionaire by about half a point right now, and it's like a fraction of the budget. So it's not good. So this is kind of their last.
Is that
Jefferson.
Jeff Applehoff?
Yeah, that is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I remember when he was going to do it, and I was like, that show sounds terrible. That'll never work. Let's go ask America. Okay. Let's go ask Jehovah's Witness. And then it's done really well for him, and he's going to make a ton of money off of it.
Yeah. I mean, it might work. Because at first, because again, I felt very territorial with Mooner. I've spent a ton of time on that set. I've talked to Meredith countless times. I was in the camp of, oh, no one can replace her, and I don't know what they're going to do. And I'm to the point right now where I'm cautiously optimistic with how he's going to handle it. The producer's going to keep him in reign. I don't know what people are afraid of right now. Like he's just going to go on these giant stand-up comedy routines like Steve does in the middle of Family Feud. I think they know to tell him keep quiet.
The problem is with the difference between Feud and Millionaire is a full show. There's no room for it. Feud was designed to have Dawson be boozy and have a good time. Yeah. I mean, that's the difference.
I think people, the reaction that I'm getting right now is mainly people who have been used to Meredith. I think people forget that, Regis, when he hosted, he's not a serious newscaster like Meredith was. He was completely different. I mean, if you look at any version of Millionaire across the world, they don't have serious newscasters hosting it. For the most part, they have goofy radio DJs like in England or like over in Australia or any country. I mean, we were the anomaly of having a serious news personality hosting the show.
Yeah, but she's so good. And such
she's
a nice
unbelievable.
Person. Yeah. Okay, I'll tell you my one Meredith Vieira story.
Ooh. And
then I want to get into just a quick take. I don't think you watched it based on me following you on Twitter, but I want to talk about Splash and the ratings on that real quick. So I hosted Pyramid this summer, and a lot of the group that worked on some of the early incarnations of Millionaire with Meredith, and they're like, you don't understand, this is the nicest lady. She's got a family. She's doing the Today Show at the time, so she's literally like flying back and forth to do it and just hustling. She's basically hustling on the weekends doing it, and I was told that she wrote a note to every contestant that was ever on Millionaire. And they would gang shoot them. I mean, they'd shoot 6, 8. Alex, you probably know better than I do, but they would shoot a ton of them. And she would go back to her room and hand write a note to each one of them referencing something in the show and what a pleasure and blah, blah, blah. And it was just from her. It wasn't from production. And she mailed it to them.
That's really cute.
She did.
And
on set with her is always a fun experience because I've been to see other shows, not going to name specific shows, and none of your shows, Mike, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, thanks for coming out. Thanks for coming to Pyramid.
Mike rates every contestant.
I do. I write every contestant. I actually have a tattoo of every contestant that's ever been on the Pyramid.
There's a weird situation why I couldn't be there. It's a very long story, but I've been to other shows, and the hosts and stuff run off and scamper to their dressing room instantly during breaks and don't really interact that much with other people. Meredith was always out there joking around with the audience, taking questions, talking to the contestant more. I mean, she was just fantastic on set, and it's why it's such a huge loss. I remember when I was there when ABC brought the show back for its 10th anniversary, when Regis came back, and he kind of, I don't want to say ignored Meredith for a while, but when he was talking about the history of the show, kind of left her out after a little bit, and the audience was literally screaming, Meredith, Meredith, during breaks and everything, until he finally had to mention her. So, I mean, it's a big loss to the show, and I'm actually not sure. Cedric's undeniably talented and great, but I don't know how it's going to go.
Will you get to go visit the show with Cedric there?
Oh yeah, no. I'm going to be there August. Yeah.
Oh, you're going to go? Will you go to one of the first few tapings?
I'll go whenever they tell me. They when they switched to the new format they have right now, because they got rid of the hot seat a little bit ago. They requested a special day for me to go there because they said, "Oh, we want to make sure any thoughts you have about the new format, any questions." So it's really funny that they cared that much about what I thought, but it was nice. So.
Yeah, because it's you have an interesting spot in the game show lexicon where people either love you or hate you, and I think it depends on, because when anybody writes critically about a show that you're producing or hosting, you cannot help but take it personally, even they're just doing their job.
Of course.
And sometimes I think deep down they're right. And I think that's part of the sting.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that did kind of blow, but you don't really want to read it. I know that people have a love-hate relationship with you. Like GSN, you're on their shit list, right?
That's a very love-hate relationship. I hate to talk about them because I do like a lot of people there. It's a funny relationship.
Do you like? No, I'm just kidding.
They other networks and companies seem to take criticism well. And then we can talk about it afterwards and discuss things. They don't want to hear any of it. And they're more afraid of just news leak. They feel that news leaks out. Meanwhile, they just have no handle on the news that leaks, that gets out. Like everything that I write is firmly out there for anyone to see. They feel it's coming from secret inside sources, and I'm trying to bring down the network.
I feel like that's
which
a
is
game
ridiculous
show thing,
and funny.
Yeah, there's
always like these secret sources and moles and stuff.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, they don't have a handle on it.
Well, and but it's a thing because when you do games, you want to try to keep some of it secret because then people watch. But and it is incredibly frustrating when you read about your great idea that you had the night before that you're going to wow the world with, and then you go to Buzzer Blog and you're like, "Yep, there it is." By the way, thanks for picking up the thing on the Jaguar. That was actually a good one. We liked that. More awesome things coming.
I got a ton of emails about it. They said, "Oh my God, you got to see this."
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Anyway, you know what? We're out of time to talk about Splash. Other than it was a ratings bonanza, and I know this isn't really in the game world; it's a competition. Did you watch it?
No.
Yeah. Okay. Wow.
No.
Wow.
I don't think you could have fit more disdain into one word.
I don't. Not to get on a rant because I know you don't have enough time. I have too much going on in my life to care about celebrities belly flopping in the water. I don't understand those shows, like any of the talent shows or any of like Dancing with the Stars or American Idol or any of those. I don't understand them. I've tried. I don't get it. The only one of those shows I could stand ever was The Mole on ABC from a long time ago. And that was it.
But that's because The Mole
like dancing and singing, like a ton of ordinary people wish they could dance or wish they could sing. I don't know a ton of people who wish they could dive,
No, I can understand the singing. Great, you can sing. You may be very talented. I could not give less of a shit if you can dive. It makes no difference to me at all. I don't get why people like it. But
it did really
it's
well.
literally been a hit in every country.
Yeah,
will it do well next week?
Well, that'll be the thing if they can hang on. But it did really well. It's the biggest launch of a reality show, unscripted show since the X Factor. Brought to you by Fremantle Media. And then for ABC, it's the biggest one in 2 years. So
and it didn't do bad critically.
Like, really?
I mean, I read critics.
Wait, say that again, Alex.
I'm sorry, Rob. I read critics that said it was one of the most spectacular first 10 or 15 minutes of reality show they've seen in years.
There you go.
It's not doing bad critically.
That's fantastic. I love it. That's my buddy, J.D. Roth, who we're going to try to get on the show at some point to talk about it. He was so worked up over it. I saw him like 3 weeks ago, and he was standing in front of his house, which is on the sand in Manhattan Beach. He's produced a lot of good shows. And he was like, no, this show is fantastic. It's going to blow you away. And I'm like, dude, it's celebrities jumping. And he's like, it's great. The promos are great, and it's going to do fantastic. So I don't know. I got to give it to him because he predicted came true, and I'm happy for him. Alex, thank you so much. We're gonna go because we got to keep moving because we're gonna talk to some people who have won things on Price is Right and Let's Make a Deal and find out how the experience was.
So, sounds great. Thank you for having me.
All right, we'll talk to you soon. Thanks, Alex.
Thanks.
Sure thing.
All right, so now we're going to try to get a hold of Cheryl, who lives in Irvine, California, and was a contestant on Let's Make a Deal, and she won a fabulous trip, which I cannot wait to hear about. Because I've actually never talked to anyone on either of the shows. Cheryl.
Hello.
How are you? It's Mike Richards and Beth Triffin.
Hi, Cheryl.
Hey, Mike. How you doing?
I'm great, but more importantly, how are you?
You know what? I am awesome.
Yeah.
I am awesome.
So you want a trip to Bora Bora, right?
You know what? I won a trip to Barbados.
Barbados, which is like Bora Bora in that it starts with a B.
Exactly. I learned a lot. I didn't know much about Barbados before we went, and it was lovely.
So I've produced these two shows. I've given away probably conservatively thousands of trips at this point on them, and I've never ever talked to. You're welcome. And I've never talked to anyone who's ever been on one.
Really? Why not?
Because I didn't have a podcast. That could be the reason. So you were on Let's Make a Deal.
I was.
And how did you end up there? Let's start with that.
You know what? I like to go out and have fun, and I like to invite my friends on fun outings that don't cost anything.
So you would never go to Disneyland?
Oh, I love Disneyland.
Oh, God, no, Cheryl.
Oh, it's expensive, though. It's so expensive.
It's expensive, the humanity.
You know what, though? Not if you have friends. I live not too far away, and over the years, I've had a lot of friends that have worked there that have blessed me with being able to sign me in.
Let me ask you a moral question. Would you ever fake an injury to get into the special guest assistance line so you could skip the crowds? See?
Never.
And this is why Cheryl was a fantastic Let's Make a Deal contestant.
This is why Cheryl won a trip. It was karma.
It's karma. And Chris will never
win a trip.
And you know what? Chris totaled his car a week ago and has to ride a bike now. And Cheryl, that's the person that we're talking about who decides to cut in line in front of handicapped kids because he pretends he has a bad knee.
Oh, goodness. That's not right.
Bad is as bad does. Is that how that goes? So anyway, Cheryl likes to have fun and not spend a lot of money, which is the perfect description of going to Let's Make a Deal.
Exactly.
What did you dress up as, Cheryl?
And I've got some great friends that, some of them are retired or some of them work part-time. I'm a school teacher part-time. I share contract. And I'm a track coach, and so I do jobs that don't make a whole lot of money. And so I look for fun things to do, and going to a game show with some friends was a great outing. We had a blast.
So did you think you would get chosen? Did you go? Because a lot of people come to Let's Make a Deal and Price is Right with the firm belief that out of the 300 people that are there, they will be the one of the few that is called.
No, I really didn't think I was going to be chosen. And originally, I went with 3 friends, and we dressed up like California raisins, and we had these huge, kind of like trash bag type costumes. They were kind of funny, and then were going to
Cheryl, were they trash bag like, or were they trash bags?
They were fabric, but everyone thought they were potatoes. Anyway. Another gal was able to join us at the last minute, and so I said I would be a farmer. And so I just threw on some overalls and put my hair in pigtails and put on a straw hat and was raring to go. And we had so much fun just hanging out together and getting to know each other better, and it was a great experience. And I was shocked when they called.
Cheryl.
Oh, yes. We had fun.
Very cute. Okay, so you come to the show. You're there having a good time. Wayne picks you, and you play a deal.
Yes, I was actually quite lucky because my deal was a box, the little box that he carries in, or money. And so I did not have to compete for it, which was it was awesome. I was very thankful.
So
that was the last deal.
It was an Act 6 deal, which is usually just a short deal for us.
It was a short deal, and he said, we have time for one more deal. And I was just clapping and dancing and having a good time. And, he called me out, and I didn't even know it was really me because, it was a kind of a last-minute costume. And my friend said, they called you. And I ran up, and I made kind of a goofball of myself because I think I was so hyper at the time. I was, running in place, and I'm a track coach. And so Wayne was fabulous, and he's like, hey, what do you do? And I said, I'm a track coach. And he said, well, yes, you are. You're running. High knees, high knees. And I lifted my knees up, and I don't know. And then he said, here's a box, or is it $1,000? And I'm like, you know what? Earlier in the day, the box had been a zonk. It was it was a fun joke with, I don't know.
I'm sure it was brilliantly executed, that zonk.
It was
I don't know what it
fabulous.
was.
It was fabulous. I think it was insects in candy or something.
Oh, yeah, sure, the insect candy.
Yep. It would have been
Insects
really
in hot
entertaining.
Old insect and candy.
Oh, yeah,
I thought,
that one.
I've got
That's so good you
third graders.
remember that.
Yeah, third graders would have loved that. But so I thought, man, and he said, it's a trip. I can't tell you if it's a good trip or a zonk, but it's a trip. And I'm like, I'm going on a trip. And I can't believe it. It was such a blessing. I can't even tell you. The timing was perfect.
So you win a trip to Barbados, which is
Yes.
crazy.
It was beautiful.
And so, yeah, tell me about the trip. Like, how does it get set up? Does someone call you? It's like a travel agent,
unbelievable. Yeah, you know what? After
Mike
the
doesn't know
show,
any of this.
right? Oh, no.
you
I have
guys,
no
how
idea.
can you not know this? You are so funny.
Well,
this is your
I
show.
know that we have a department of people that I've hired that do it.
If it's not on the show, he doesn't care, Cheryl.
No.
Well, you know what? They do such a great job, and I love how they set it all up. They let me know as a trip. You didn't have to pay taxes beforehand, which was totally awesome. And then they said, give us some dates. And I went online not knowing much about Barbados and said, well, when do I want to travel to Barbados that the weather's nice and I can get away with
Good
my
planning.
husband?
See? A
Perfect.
smart contestant who can plan. I love
There
it.
you go. I've got a couple kids in college, and so it was perfect because all the money that we have is going for my two kids in college right now. And so this was a huge surprise, amazing blessing.
That's so cool.
And
So who did you go with?
I went with my husband, Pat, and we've been married for 25 years. So guess what I gave my husband for our 25-year anniversary
You gave
gift?
him a trip you won on a game show.
Absolutely.
That's fantastic.
Perfect timing.
That is awesome.
Is there
But
like
they
a
were
time limit?
so awesome.
Is there like a
They-
time limit that you have to do the trip within a year or something?
Yes,
or?
there is.
Absolutely. Once you win the trip, so we won, filmed it around December, didn't play until around April, and then once the trip plays, the travel agent contacts you, and you have a year to plan the trip. And so I didn't want to be away from my kids during Christmas vacation, and I coach in the fall, so a January trip was perfect. And so I had planned that far in advance, and they did such a nice job. The travel agent, she put us in the exit seats so that they were a little bit larger. And that was a huge surprise. You get on the plane and you're
Wow.
in coach, and that's awesome, but you actually were given, like top choice.
Yeah,
it
like
was
the best
lovely.
seat. That's fantastic.
Best seats. Show up in Barbados, and it's hot and beautiful, and the weather was gorgeous, and they put us at this resort and didn't really know anything about it, and I think it was the best resort on the island. It was heaven,
This
and
is a
they
good
treated
story.
us so well. I mean, everything, so welcoming. I mean, it was just lovely, and, my husband had kind of gone through a medical issue, and so we kind of laid low and hung out at the resort, and water sports were free. We could go kayaking. We went
Free,
paddleboarding.
Beth, free.
I mean, it was unbelievable. It
So-
was heaven.
Now, if I won a trip on a show that
Yeah.
I didn't produce, I would be nervous that when I get to the resort, it would be rough. Did you have any reservations like that?
I was a little nervous, but I know that, Let's Make a Deal has been on TV for ages. And
50-year anniversary
what?
we're celebrating right now.
Exactly. So I'm
I've been
thinking,
there for all of them.
you know what, it's
You're
going to be
great.
fine. It's going to be fine. And we really didn't know anything going in. And there were some all-inclusive resorts, and this one included an amazing breakfast every morning. And so, I mean, you could have omelets made, or they had all kinds of treats. And so, and then they gave us money to spend for dinner and lunch. So
Wait, what?
This is amazing.
Wait, we
it was amazing.
Who gave you
It was
money?
amazing. You know what? They put it in our account, and she said, "Cheryl, I scheduled your massages, his and her massages." I'm like, "Are you kidding me?"
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was over the top,
Did you even know the
romantic.
trip was that good?
I didn't
Had
know we
no
gave money.
idea.
I knew that we often one of the big things that I started on Price and that we continue forward on Let's Make a Deal is that when you get there, you're not just on your own. Because, it's nice to fly someone to a resort. It's nice to put them up, but you go to that's kind of when the expense starts. So we always try to find something, whether it's, meals or a massage, some other thing that you can do while you're there so that you're not just like, oh God, the good news is I'm at this resort. The bad news is everything's $1,000 and I basically have to sit in my room. That was always my fear.
You know what? And Barbados is very expensive because we checked on over to a gas station or something, and we thought, oh, let's get a bag of chips for a snack, and it was $8.50.
Oh my God!
Yeah, it's a very expensive island, and yet, you know what? We were able to make good use of our money, and I even went into the gift shop at the end and was able to bring home some earrings as a little reminder of our trip. So, I mean, we made good use of our money.
And you celebrated your 25th anniversary? That's fantastic.
It was unbelievable. Such a blessing. I am so grateful. It was lovely. Lovely.
Well, I'll tell you that, like I said, I've been doing this for a little while now, and it's really fun to hear someone who had a great experience, because that's our team. That's up to them. And I always just assume, because I don't hear anything, no news is good news. Like, if someone had a bad experience,
you hear about it.
Oh, yeah. And we've had, where people have been wanting to not take the trip that they won. And we're like, well, dude, I can't. Like, there was one that somebody won a trip. I think it was to Thailand. And the boyfriend, remember this?
I remember this.
And the boyfriend had a nut allergy. And
oh, no.
They scheduled the trip and like booked the ticket. So we bought the flight and we did the whole thing. And then they were like, we can't go to Thailand. It's famous for the nuts.
And the nut particles are in the air.
And the nut particles in the air. And he's going to die. There's a good chance he's going to die if he goes. And I was like,
lands there.
Yeah. And I'm like, well, then he shouldn't probably go to Thailand, because we want him to live.
And he was the guest.
Yeah, and he was the guest. He wasn't the person that won it. He was the guest. And it was just so we've had those things before, and we resolved it with her and figured it out, because ultimately you want people to get their prizes and win. But so fun to hear from someone that had a great experience, and the coolest part is that you're so appreciative, which is really neat.
How's that make you
feel?
So
appreciative. Yeah, I sent a thank you note and pictures, so I'm sure that they're out there somewhere for you to find.
I will have to get to the head of the prize department and find those, because I always encourage everyone to send us pictures and send us a note, because I want to hear how it goes. So that's fantastic. Congratulations.
Well, awesome.
I'm so glad you won.
You know what? Thank you. Me too. The first thing I did is we sat on our lounge chairs, and I have a picture of my feet with Barbados Ocean right out front, and I put it on Facebook, and I said, let's make a deal is awesome. And a lot of comments came back like, where's your Corona, Cheryl? And I'm like, well, I'm a school teacher, so
I drank it.
It was there, just not in the photo.
I'm a school teacher. I drank it. Well, congratulations. Thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you very much for the trip. You guys have a great evening.
You too. Thank you.
Bye.
That is unbelievable.
Why?
Because I would, honestly, we work hard to make sure that the trips are good, but I would so be skeezed out if someone was like, you want a trip to Barbados? Like, there's nice parts of Barbados, but then there's, like...
some shady parts.
Yeah, and that's kind. Yeah. There's some scary parts of Barbados. Probably anywhere you go that is a resort-type place is like that, and I just go, oh, my God. I don't think I would go. I honestly think I would forfeit the trip, because being not in any kind of control of your life, and just being like, yep, we'll get on an airplane, and somebody else planned it and paid for it, and there's nothing you can do.
No.
And it's not like you can buy your way out of it, because it's expensive.
But it also sounded like everything was covered. Like, it didn't sound like she paid for all these extra things.
No, I mean, that is one of the things we do, and I'm not trying to grandstand. That's something I've worked hard on, because I always felt bad for people. They already have to pay the tax on the trip,
right? Which
is brutal. The good news is they're getting a free trip. The bad news is they have to pay the tax on it.
But it would suck if they got there.
And then you have no dollars. Yeah. You're like, okay, I've got $100 and I can't
eat.
Yeah. Oh, and great, the chips are $8.50. By the way, Cheryl should have made a deal for chips. You know what I'm saying?
Seriously.
How crazy is that? She made that deal, because that Act 6 thing is like the last, we're done with the show basically, and that's our accordion for time on the show. So if we're really short, we'll make that a very robust deal. If we're long, it's usually like, hey, Beth, stand up. Do you want Tic Tacs or that box? And you're like, I'll take the Tic Tacs. Good. You have fresh breath. You just passed on a can of whoop ass. And then we move on. And so, like, it's usually a throwaway, but we put good prizes in it, because we don't want everyone to assume it's going to be bad.
And then so just peace out.
And then you're out. But, God, can you imagine? You just show up. I forgot to ask her how much it was worth. Wait, it's here. I have it. Yeah, it was like a $6,000
That's
trip.
pretty awesome.
I love it. She goes, yeah, we were with my friends. We had a great time. Yeah, if I won a trip to Barbados, I too would say that I had a great time.
Yes.
For free. Didn't even pay to get into the show. And it's a really good show. It's a really good taping because of Wayne. He's fantastic. All right, now we are calling Mark Saunders, probably our last call, unfortunately, of the night. And he was a big winner on Let's Make a Deal as well. I'm trying to figure out what he was dressed up as.
Hello?
Mark.
Is this Mike?
It is. How are you?
Hey, buddy, I'm doing just fine. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I'm here. Beth Triffin, the Moral Compass.
Hi.
What? How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I am doing just fine. Thanks for asking.
So we just spoke to a woman who won a trip to Barbados on Let's Make a Deal. What did you win on Let's Make a Deal?
I won a Ford Fiesta.
Shut the front door.
Ow!
What was that?
I know,
sound?
right?
Fiesta
It was. Oh, it's the best.
Wait, I'm
Changed
sorry.
my life.
Wait, Mark, hang on. What was that sound, Beth?
A Fiesta sound?
Wait, do a Fiesta sound?
Ow! Ow!
That's more of a stub your toe sound.
No, Fiesta's like, ooh, ow, ow, it's a party. That's the Fiesta sound.
No, that's still.
Jen, is that not the Fiesta
The
sound?
No, that's the
sound
worst.
is a little. That's
Yeah.
the Fiesta sound.
Ay, that's Fiesta. Ow, ow is I stubbed my toe.
Not my type of Fiesta.
Or you're stepping on Legos. It's that
Oh,
too.
that's a good
the
point.
worst.
You must be a father.
No, but I have plenty of Legos.
Oh, because I stepped on something and I let out my kids leave stuff everywhere because that's their job, and I literally stepped on. I was like, Shiite Muslims, that's fantastic, and then I had to try to explain to my 5-year-old what Shiite Muslims were. So, Mark, you were on the show. Where do you live?
I live in New York City.
So, literally in Manhattan.
Wow.
I am moving to 150th and Edgecombe this week. I lived at 149th, so it's a big move for me.
Do you
Oh.
need a
I'm moving
car?
uptown.
Yeah, that's a fair question. Do you need a car in New York City?
No, but it actually changed my life so much for the better. Like, my girlfriend's been able to take it on trips to a couple different places. We got to show the video to my grandmother on Thanksgiving Day, and she cried. It was awesome because we kept it a secret for so long. And then for Christmas, we were actually able to hit both of our families, like on Christmas Eve and then Christmas.
Oh, because you were able to
see
drive
our
there.
families.
That's
Yeah, because we were able to
fantastic.
drive there. 'Cause
We're bringing
the
families
trains-
together, Beth.
yes,
Mike is
you were
so
bringing
proud.
families together.
Yeah, this is crazy because I was just saying I've never talked to anyone who's won anything on the shows, and thousands of trips, thousands of cars I've given away at this point, and it's so fun to hear people like, no, I really love it. It's crazy.
Do you feel
No,
really good about your
it's
job
literally-
now?
I kind of do.
It's the best because my grandmother actually wasn't feeling well, and we were actually able to go out and see her like a week or two ago. And that's not something like we were able to go by, surprise her in the hospital room. We sat down with her for like 2 hours, had a great conversation, learned a ton of stuff about the family, and then we got back in the car and we were able to, bring it back to Manhattan and find parking. Like,
See, in
It's
the
amazing. It
car,
was great.
they won on Let's Make a Deal. And, Mark, you
Yes.
see, you should know, when we launched Let's Make a Deal, Beth and I were working together.
4 years
And-
ago.
And, 4 years ago. And we launched it in Las Vegas.
Oh.
And it was the most grueling launch of a show. Every launch of a show was grueling. But it was so brutal.
It was horrible.
It was literally, Beth, lived in Section 8 housing. And she didn't even have her own room.
I one time slept in the same bed as one of my coworkers.
A girl.
A
I mean,
girl.
it wasn't
Sorry, a
her.
girl.
She wasn't running around town.
Because I had there was no room for me.
Yeah, it was rough.
Yeah.
And at one point, Beth turned in a time card that had 110 hours on it
That's right.
in a week, and it was kicked back to me because it was like, hey, either she's lying or she filled it out wrong or whatever. And I was like, no, it's actually neither. I actually think she didn't charge us for every hour that she worked. So
Oh my God!
when you get to the end
Are you?
of
Wow.
where
It was.
we get to kind of look back and think how brutal that was. I mean, it was. I went months and didn't sleep. I mean, literally between price and deal, it was actually really fun. But to hear people actually getting in their car and having fun moments is
changing so many lives is got to be like so much fun.
Well, you're making it fun. I don't think of it that way because for me, I love my job, but it's a job and I work hard at it, and but it's so fun to hear everyone enjoying it so much.
But it is really cool when you're on set and you're just like, okay, I'm at my job, blah blah blah. I come here every day, but then you see like how excited and happy and tearful people are, and it's just so cool that your daily job can be like the best day of someone's life.
The adrenaline rush that I got from being picked was like the biggest like high or whatever you want to. It was the biggest thing that I'd ever felt in my entire life, and it was just like I remember looking at the video, and if you look, like I get up there and he's like, Wayne Brady's like, hey, how you doing, blah blah blah, and I'm like, and I just remembered when I'm fine, I'm great. And like I actually bent over to like try and catch my breath because 10 seconds ago I wasn't on national television and no one was offering me any deals. I was just wrapped up in tissue paper, like a mummy.
Yes,
like
he was a mummy dressed in tissue paper.
Oh God!
On a Wednesday, yeah. So, and it was amazing. It just happens. It happened so fast, and you're like, everyone that said, "Oh, you knew you were going to go on there, right?" You knew. No, I knew I was going to be in the audience. That's it. I knew I was going to have a good time. We were there with some friends, and then it was like all of a sudden it was like, boom, here you are. Hi, Wayne Brady. I used to watch you on Whose Line Is It Anyway? Like,
hello, famous
this is amazing.
person. Yeah. And how did
you
end up?
my hand.
So how did you end up in L.A. at a taping of Let's Make a Deal when you live in New York? 'Cause I'm not great with geography. It's well documented. But how did you end up there?
Well, this is a funny story.
It better
as
be.
Most stories. You'll be like, really? How did this happen? I got a call from my ex-girlfriend, who I hadn't talked to in a couple of years.
Awkward.
And she said, and we'd always been like sort of good friends and whatever. And she said, I'm getting married. I haven't talked to you in a while. I'd like to reestablish that friendship that we had. And I said, okay, great. And she's like, I'm going to send you an invitation. Come out to the wedding. And I said, all right. And I have my girlfriend who I've been dating for
you guys are so mature.
9 months. Yeah, seriously.
I'm going to tell you guys right now, none of my ex-girlfriends were invited to my wedding. Not that any of them would have come. Or been cool. Are you
You dated actresses.
I only dated one actress. Two. And a cruise ship dancer.
Ooh.
You
Quality.
dated a cruise ship dancer?
Hey, cruise ship dancers are people too.
Okay,
no,
so that's how
they
you got
are.
out
Well,
okay, so you come out to your ex-girlfriend's wedding, which I kind of love.
We flew standby and hit 3 different cities to get to Reno to drive to San Francisco. So we're in San Francisco, and from there we rented a convertible and drove the convertible down to Los Angeles. And it was the most beautiful drive ever. And we're like, we should get a car. Like, oh, what would we do with a car? So my girlfriend and I then go.
How was your girlfriend about going to an ex-girlfriend's wedding?
She was fine. She knew the deal. I mean, I was like, we've been friends for a while. It's fine. She's like, are you sure? And I was like, absolutely. Like, we are well removed. We are good friends. So we were actually better friends than when we were together.
Oh, that's great.
Does that make sense? Yeah. And part of the wedding party got like this big block of tickets. They were like, if anybody wants to go and go do this, come on by. And we're like, all right. So we're like, we're in. Sure, we'll go. We'll have a great time. So I won a car in front of my ex-girlfriend and her fiance.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
See, because I'm a somewhat vengeful person. I kind of love that you were like, you're getting married. That's awesome. I just want a car coming to your wedding.
It was a little awkward at the wedding because everyone was like, oh, my God, you guys are going to how is winning a car? I was like, it's their day.
And she was like, even now, even on my special day, he's stealing my thunder, which was always my problem with him.
I mean, wait, do you know her?
Yeah, see?
Is that?
No, I know people.
I feel like this whole show has been about karma today.
It is about karma.
This is cool.
Can I ask a personal question? Did she break up with you?
She did.
This is great.
So
that felt good a little bit. Win a car and.
But it was all for the better. It was all for the better because we made up. We're friends.
And you want a car.
And I want a car. That has changed my life.
That's
and you have a
fantastic.
great girlfriend now.
I have a wonderful girlfriend. We're actually out on vacation again.
Aww.
You're on vacation right now?
Yeah, actually I am.
Where are you now?
We flew down to another wedding in Miami, and we kept making jokes to ourselves like, well, I guess we're going to win a car at this one too, because that's what we do at weddings. And then I actually am from Savannah, Georgia, and we stopped off in Savannah too, so we're hanging out here.
Savannah's so cool. I love that place.
Have you been?
I have been. I think it's like the coolest place in America.
Why were you there? Did you do your roadshow there?
Yeah, well, I just went there for a weekend, and it was so cool. It was so cool. It was beautiful.
It
Well,
really
that's
is
fantastic.
beautiful.
I have a question real quick. Whenever I say
Sure.
I worked on Price is Right or Let's Make a Deal, people always say, oh, so when people win the car, do they drive it away there? But how did you get your car? And I'm like, no, you don't just drive that car. It's a different car.
I got that same question 100 times. Like, when I won the car, we actually had – this is great. So
I'm asked that question a lot too, and I just pretend like I can't hear them.
well, I don't know if you guys – I was on the Halloween episode, and that taping aired 2 days after Sandy hit. So it didn't actually air in the New York City area.
Oh.
Like, it didn't air on Manhattan. And we had planned a month in advance because we didn't tell anybody for 77 days. That's from the time of
you're not allowed
when
to.
we were taped. Yeah,
Right?
absolutely. You're not allowed to.
What kind of
In case
threats?
someone-
What kind of idle threats did they make to you if you told people that you won a car?
There was at Let's Make a Deal.
Yeah.
There, they said caning, and then there was a guy in the back just sparking batteries together. You know how that does when you're trying to spark? Like, that was happening.
We're the ones who hired Donald Rumsfeld right after he left the Bush administration. So he seems good. Whatever.
Nice.
It's just contestant enhancement.
We had this party planned. Everyone's like, we sent out a big invitation. We got nachos. We got sombreros, and we said, we're having a fiesta party on Halloween. And everyone was like, what are you guys doing? And they were like, I don't know if we're going to be able to make it. The subways are all messed up, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, please try and come out. Everybody's been inside. If you can make it out, make it out. You'll have a good time, I promise. Everyone thought, they're like, are you getting married and flying to Mexico? What's going on? And I was like, no, just come out.
You're like, awkward. How about your poor girlfriend? Is she like dying to get married now? Because all she's exposed to is weddings.
Pretty much. But we had everybody over, and we had this big fiesta party with sangria and everything, and it was the greatest thing ever. And that's how we showed everybody that we won this car. And then everyone was like, where is the car? How'd you keep it hidden? And I was like, well, we waited a couple weeks, and then after Sandy hit, we got a phone call from a dealer in New Jersey, and it was like, hey, man, that's my New Jersey accent. He said, come on over.
Hey, that's my New Zealand accent.
That's exactly. So there you go.
The dealer just called you and you drove in? I mean, no, you didn't drive in.
Somehow got
No,
there?
we didn't drive in.
You were
we
ambulatory?
took the New Jersey Transit over, and then we cabbed it over to there.
Oh,
And then I forget where we immediately went somewhere. I think we immediately went to a wedding in Philadelphia. Yeah, we immediately went to another wedding in Philadelphia. Sweet.
Are you like a wedding crasher? Is that
No, not at all.
Okay,
I do look like Vince Vaughn. Not at all.
Oh, I was going to say fat Vince Vaughn or skinny Vince Vaughn. So you go to the dealer and he goes, I'm going to give you a car today. Right?
He was really nonchalant about it.
Yeah.
He was like, yeah, I've been dealing with the guys over at Let's Make a Deal. And I was like, do you do this all the time? Like, are you that casual about it? This is amazing. And he was like, meh. And I was like, all right, man, I'm okay with this. I'm loving getting a car. So there it was. It was parked outside. It was great.
He's like, I'm dealing with those horrible people over at Let's Make a
No,
Deal.
they're wonderful. Wonderful. They're like Santa's elves.
They are.
Only
No,
taller.
I sent, I forget what the gentleman's name is that's in the prize department, but I sent him a thank you card.
Everyone's so
I
nice
can't-
and appreciative. That's so cool.
I can't-
So what's
yeah.
that like and then we got to run. But what's that like? So you fill out some paperwork, I assume, to buy the car.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then you get in it. Is your girlfriend with you at this point?
Yes.
Fantastic. And you guys get in the car and you drive away. What is that moment? What's that feeling like? Where you're like, it must feel like you stole it a little bit.
It's like to me it was like going to a rental car company and they're like, oh hey, we just got this new car, and you've never seen a new rental car, but they're like, so it's magical in itself, and they're like, we just got this new car, it's got like 4 miles on it. Do you guys want to take it for a ride? And we're like, yeah, we'll take it for a ride. And then we take it off of the lot and we stole it. Like, that's what it feels like. It feels like we stole the rental car.
Well, that's actually why we're calling. This
Brand new
isn't a
rental
podcast. This is the LAPD.
Oh
and
my,
you did steal
I see
that
blue
car.
lights. I see blue lights.
Hey, that is so fantastic, Mark. Thank you for sharing that with us. It's so cool. Enjoy that car in good health. For God's sakes,
I
marry
will.
that girlfriend. I mean, you're putting her through wedding hell at this point. At some point, it's just an obligation. It's not even because you want to. You just kind of have to.
True, you're like Yoda. You're like Yoda, but without the sentence fractures. It's awesome.
And Beth
Thank
is
you
the
for
same
your
height
sage
as
advice,
Yoda.
friend.
Well, good luck to you. Thank you so much for being on the show. Enjoy the car.
Thank you very much. You guys have a great day.
You too. Thanks.
Bye.
Okay, we really ended the show on an up note. You know what we do?
Totally.
You know what I do for a living, Beth Griffin?
You make people's lives amazing.
I change people's lives for the better.
Oh, I can't believe I'm agreeing with you right now, but I am.
If you can't see it, but it was crushing Beth's soul every time people were effusive and nice about the car because she knew that I was taking it in and going, that's right. That's right.
Well, I always try to encourage Mike to be a more giving person.
And I try to tell her that
bigger
I'm the most
humanitarian.
Yes, and I try to tell her over and over again who gives away more stuff than me.
But you do get paid to do it.
Well, it would be stupid if I didn't. That would be an internship.
Anyway, yes, Mike, you should feel very good about yourself tonight.
I do. I feel kind of great about you know what's the greatest is that actually our people are really nice.
Yeah.
And that the things are handled smoothly and professionally and nicely. Because, again, I don't think I would go on a trip. Like, if you've ever won anything on a radio giveaway or whatever,
yeah,
it's skeezy. It's like you get to go to this, but it's horrific.
Right.
And the tickets are bad and whatever. And it's cool that people really get a kick out of it.
No,
I love it.
It's awesome.
I think we should do a quick recap of what we've learned today, Beth. What have you learned? Well, I personally have learned that Disneyland blows.
Yep.
That Chris, who works for us here at Price is Right, fakes injuries to cut in front of handicapped children.
Yeah.
So that's not good.
That's something I'll never forget.
Well, I think what we learned is that adults that go to Disneyland, there is something just a smidge wrong with them.
Shady something going on.
To be honest, it's a narrow sampling. Of those people, so
we're gonna make that assumption.
But I think that's fair. I mean, I didn't do great in statistics in college, but I think that's a sample. I think that's a statistical sample.
Me being there, you being there, and then talking to Chris, I think we're safe.
Adults that go without kids, bad. Then let's go. We got to talk to Alex at Buzzer Blog. You could tell, and I couldn't get him to do it, but he thinks that Cedric's terrible. That's a bad call.
He does, yes.
Splash. He does not tune into. You are in. I know you're. Dude, I want to see Kareem Abdul-Jabbar do a belly flop.
I'm going to Hulu it tonight.
You kids and your newfangled internet.
I
So we learned about that. And then what we learned is let's make a deal and Price is Right. Making the world a better place.
Oh, completely. I've always thought that.
Next week we should call people who lost.
Oh my
and
God.
Just absolute heartbreak. You know what we've got to find is we should try to find someone that played one of the big cash games like Pay the Rent, which is a $100,000 cash game, and got right up to it. And you can either take the $10,000 or go for the $100,000, and they either kept the $10,000, which is still a lot of money, but they could have had the $100,000.
Yeah, I would. I'd love to.
Because this show was all sunshine and dandelions, and they love the show.
Right.
But there's got to be people that are jilted.
Oh yeah, they're probably like, oh, I went to LA, I stood in line for hours, and I did this, and then I lost in front of everyone, and it was the worst day of my life.
Yeah, because we concentrated on the best day of their life.
Yeah, we did.
But about 50% of the people.
Well, if you're not a winner, you're a loser.
Yes. And I think that's the bumper sticker for today. We have a bumper sticker every time, And if you're not a winner, you're a loser. Thanks for listening to the podcast. Beth Griffin, thanks very much.
Of course.
Have a great night. Bye.
Bye.